These days, unfortunately, we're talking about historic threats to democracy and democratic governance. In the past 4 years alone, we've seen military coups in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, Gabon, Guinea, and Sudan. We've seen the circumventing of presidential term limits in places like Côte d'Ivoire and efforts to do so in places like Senegal. So I guess the question for all of us is whether these are merely coincidences or, as many of us believe, many of us fear, something deeper and something perhaps more troubling.
What we are seeing on the African continent is not a lack of popularity for democracy. It is a lack of popularity by citizens for democratic outcomes.
In the big picture, what we're seeing is a challenge by military actors to the notion that they shouldn't govern. There's a sense of entitlement on the part of Africa's militaries that they should be in power.
The international community often tends to withdraw when there's been a coup, and then only engage with what I consider focal points rather than genuine leadership. But withdrawing altogether effectively cedes the ground to the coup regime and those who back it.
And we've also seen from the data that there is a correlation, not a causation, between persistent underdevelopment in some of these crises, in some of these contexts where we've seen coups, and the risk of coups. Democracy is still very popular in Africa. The idea that you can choose your leader is one that citizens embrace quite positively. And it was very much reflected in our data. Out of those that we interviewed, 55% continue to prefer democracy.
So as we think about the political transition process, the process that comes after a coup or the process that comes before a coup, these are the types of core conversations that we should be having here and hopefully coming out with recommendations to address some of these key questions.